we look at the setup, you can see on the right-hand side there, certainly a better posture in terms of kind of where your belt buckle is. There's always going to be a slight curve in most people's backs, okay? But what we're looking for is trying to get the sort of the belt buckle line you've got there, okay? As opposed to this one here, for me, is kind of up there. So you've tipped over a little bit more towards the golf ball. The legs aren't as flexed as they were before. And again, it may not seem as much as you feel, but again, it's enough for me. If we start making any more changes to get in a sort of so-called perfect position, think how strange it feels now when you make this adjustment. If I moved even more so and had a bit less flex again and a bit more tip, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to fall over.
But are you saying that ideally I should be?
In time, at the moment now, it's got to be a progression from there to that. I would say probably if in maybe, I don't know, a month's time, if you got used to this position, tipping forward a little bit more wouldn't feel so bad. But tipping from that position to kind of position here would just seem so far out where you are comfort-wise, it'd just be too much. It's got to be done kind of gradually, bit by bit. This posture, this position is, I would say, sort of 80-90% complete. Okay, a little bit more tilt would be fine. Where you are there is probably sufficient enough to hit decent golf shots, but it's just got to be more. The quality of the swing needs to be just a bit better. Okay, for me, for consistency, if we can stand the ball pretty perfectly, it helps us then with the slight errors we're going to make in the swing. If we're setting up, we're not quite tipped over enough, you then got to almost make a slight adjustment in the swing, which you don't want to be trying to do. But in terms of spacing, you can see now because your legs aren't as flexed, you've got a bit more space there with the hands from the legs. And the key thing is, we said that right foot again. This one I got on camera didn't quite go as much, but there is a bit more movement. Okay, so the club now is a lot higher because you rotated better rather than slid. So the hands are a lot higher. The club's in a better position there now. As we start coming back down to the golf ball, come here. Okay, good strike of the golf on the right side there. Okay, as you start twisting through, you can see the heel now is starting to have a little bit of lift there. Not a lot. Towards the end, you were getting a lot more. But if we look at this one here now, I mean, it's just planted. It's just planted, okay? So there is a little bit of movement there as you go through that shot, okay? And that's just going to take a bit of practice getting used to that movement, okay? In terms of the movement and how far the swing is going, if I take the sink off there and get to your kind of... So that's kind of where your swing finished there, whereas this one here now, that club's got a lot further around your head just because you can move more efficiently, you see. Having the ability to rotate is what we're looking for, okay? But to do that, you've got to start in a position whereby your spine's over the ball there, a bit more tilt and a bit less knee flex. So basically from there, you should be able to see, as we said, the lace is there on your shoes. If you're bending the knees more and then as a result, your pelvis kind of tilts underneath, your spine angle now sort of initially starts to, and then you sort of hunch over it, you'll struggle to see that. So always be mindful of where those sort of, that checkpoint there with the shoes and the laces, obviously. And then swing-wise, like I say, just focus on that sort of body rotating through the ball. You can make that movement when you're in a position that enables you to do it, okay? And if you want to see in terms of positions of posture, I'll try and find some pictures in a second now. Just look at the pro sort of belt buckle line. You'll find their sort of hip bone there, the belt buckle line, sorry, is a bit more tilted down. Again, I wouldn't go too much now because it already feels a little bit strange, if we're honest, yeah? Where you are there compared to where you're on the left-hand side. So if to go more so would just be too far. But you'll get used to that right-hand position there now. Bit of practice. And like I say, don't be afraid when you're at home or on the range or making swings. Take a video. And even somewhere, when you obviously get this sent through to you as well before, but take a video, look at your swing, and then go, oh, hang on, is that right? Yeah. Check that. If you're not sure, send it through to me and go, how does it look? I can literally text back and say, yeah, keep doing that, that's looking good. Or actually, Simon, just be careful because now your belt buckle, I doubt you get that far, obviously, but you're really tilted over or you're doing something really extreme and you've gone beyond where you need to get to. Because as with all things in golf, there's kind of too far this way, too far that way, kind of somewhere in the middle. It's not a question of, well, here's bad, and anything from that's going to be good, and the further from that you get, the better and the better. You can't get too far wrong. There's obviously people I give lessons to who tilt over too much, and they almost feel a bit more squatty. But yeah, individuals got to be looked at, you see.
I'm playing 18 holes at Bryn Hill on Saturday.
Lovely. Nice, yeah.
Just with the shorter irons,
yep.
Particularly the 8 and the pitching wedge. Is there anything fundamentally different in that?
Not
setup?
really, no. I mean, all that would be different there, okay, because the length of this is a 6 iron, so on the right side. The length of your 8 iron would be a little bit shorter, okay? So there'll be a little bit more tilt, so your arms can reach the ground a bit lower, okay? So all you'll find...
It's not about moving in on the ball, it's about...
Right, I mean, you'll probably be a fraction closer. The way to build up the setup, though, is if you start with the club down first behind the golf ball, and then put your hands on the goalkeeper before you set your feet. Because if you put your feet there now, you're kind of guessing how far from the ball you need to be. So feet together, set that tilt over the ball, and now you set your feet around that comfortable for that particular club. You're just getting yourself into position with the club you've got rather than sort of my feet should go here, that'll do kind of thing. Nope, it's still just, it's in the same position relative to your left foot. Your feet will just be a little bit narrower, which will in turn give the impression the ball's moving back slightly, but it doesn't actually move in terms of back and forth between your feet. Okay, does that make sense, Simon? Yeah?
Yeah.
Good stuff, well done.